Hi, my name is JP Wolf of Tilley's Party Store Disc Golf in Traverse City, Michigan. I have 4 new discs from Prodigy Disc Golf that is going to be released on May 5th, 2022, and I'm pretty stoked about these. Big fan of Prodigy myself, love them, and this new plastic that they're coming out with is great. First off, we've got 2 from the Kevin Jones line. We have the Reverb, which is a nice overstable 13-speed driver, coming in at 13.503.5, nice and beefy, still with a little bit of flip though. Then we also have the Kevin Jones Distortion, a really nice overstable approach disc that if you put a lot of power into it, it's gonna ride pretty flat for a minute and then hook into the left at the end. It's coming in at 4.303 for the speed, glide, turn, and fade. What I'm most excited about is the FX-3. I'm a big fan of the FX-2 already. The FX-3 is what I've been most excited about putting in my bag, and also the soon new edition of the FX-4, which hasn't been released yet, but once it is, you'll be hearing from me. This one's coming in at 9.4, -1.5, and then a 2 for the fade. And lastly, we have the P Model S in the new Proflex plastic. Now this disc has already been out for a little bit, but before you can only get it in Duraflex, base grip, and both those in glow plastic. This new Proflex plastic is wonderful. Nice and grippy, little bendy, and that's how these all are actually. Nice and grippy, good flex to them. Big fan of these actually. This is probably some of my favorite plastic that I've felt from Prodigy. So, if you want to join me, I'll be test driving some of these here, give you kind of some ideas on how I feel about them, what they fly like. First off, we got the Kevin Jones Reverb. Now all these I'm going to be trying to throw a little bit more to the right, since this hole normally actually just kind of goes into the woods here. I'm planning on throwing this more to the right, see if I can get more full flight, see how far I can get. That is the overstability of that disc kicking in for sure. Next off, we got the Prodigy FX-3. Now this one I'm going to try to release as flat as I can. It should ride just a little bit to the right, but then come back to the left pretty soon. Squeeze flat and just roll straight. So doing exactly what those flight numbers actually said of -1.5 to 2. As it started slowing down, you could see it just slightly hook in at the end. All right, now we got the Kevin Jones Distortion. Try to release this one flat as well. Released it with the softizer. All right, so here I got the Kevin Jones Reverb. This comes in at 13.503.5, so nice and overstable. Generally, I wouldn't bag anything this overstable for my bag, but I'm actually starting to like it. It's been quite enjoyable for some of the holes here that have a nice hard left turn. So let's see where I can get this. Now that one I cranked on a more flat line, and it decided to just stay flat. Normally most of my other drivers, they would have drifted off a little bit more to the right with how much spin I was putting onto that. So that is another reason why that disc might make the bag. Here we've got the FX-3 coming in at 9.4 -1.52. Big fan of this actually, real big fan. Ooh, look at that glide. Here we got the Kevin Jones Distortion, 4.303. We're going to try to put this as flat as I can, with as much power as I can behind it, see what it does. That was not flat at all. But those flight numbers doing exactly what it says it's supposed to do. So far, I've been loving the P Model S. especially in this plastic. This new Proflex plastic is money. Big fan of it. Nice and straight, soft left edge. Beautiful. So for this Kevin Jones reverb on this throw, I'm going to try to release it as anhyzered as possible. Well, still trying to make a decent throw out of it. See how it works out. I'm assuming it's going to fight out of it pretty hard. Beautiful throw though. That's going to get you some extra distance. For this FX-3 throw, I'm going to try to do the same thing. Put it on a nice anhyzer release. See where it gets me. It should just hold that anhyzer the whole way. Maybe if anything, finish out slightly flat. Yep, just holding it the whole way. Finishing out flat. That'll come in handy if you're not gonna, you don't have the room to really make that sidearm. That's gonna be a nice little hole for you for that anhyzer. This one, do the same thing. Put this distortion on an anhyzer, see what it does. Should hold out, and then hold out and finish flat, maybe even finishing subtly hyzer. Yep. So just like the other Kevin Jones, this is the distortion. The distortion held that anhyzer and then started fighting out pretty fast and hyzering out in the end, just like the Kevin Jones reverb. Gonna do the same thing with the P Model S here. Put it out on anhyzer. This one will just hold out on anhyzer the whole way. Been really digging this disc. Alrighty, so for this throw, I'm going to throw the Kevin Jones reverb on a hyzer, which, being the disc it will, that's all it's going to do. It's just going to hyzer the whole way in. There's going to be no flip, no nothing, just going dead to the left. Which, there is a hole right there, and it would generally parked. Now for the FX-3, I'm going to do the same thing, put it on a hyzer the whole way. This one might actually flip up to flat a little bit more. Yep, flips to flat, carries, and flat. Going to do the same thing with the distortion, put it on a hyzer. It's just going to carry that the whole way, no flip to flat at all. P Model S, probably do the same thing. Might actually come closer to flat though. Cover his throat, right? Well, that one was bad. Alrighty, so for my overall thoughts on these discs, the Kevin Jones reverb, nice and stable. I don't know if it's just because I got one of the lighter ones that we got at 170, and it even came out on the scale to like 170.4 or something like that. It does turn a little bit. Obviously, you're going to need to put a little bit of Annie into it, but it'll hold that Annie for a short bit of time and come back, which actually kind of nice. And holds a hyzer well while still getting a good amount of distance forward, which is something that's actually really desirable in a driver, especially at a 13 speed. So if you're interested in something that's still going to get good distance and hyzer most of the way, or even get some extra carry by putting on an anhyzer and still hyzering at the end for sure, it's going to be a good one. I have a feeling I'm going to use this in the wind a lot. The Kevin Jones Distortion, this one, nice and stable. The plastic on it just feels amazing. Now, mind you, all these plastics are the same, at least to me it feels like. But for some odd reason, this feels really nice in the hand. I still think I might stick with my A3s just because I do love the way the A3 feels in the hand with that really shallow rim depth. I don't know why, it's just really comfortable even with having slightly bigger hands. It's more comfortable for me. However, this distortion is going to be nice for all y'all that have liked a zone in the past, maybe a harp. This will be right in that range for you. I have a feeling that once this beats in, it might be a little bit straighter, but so far we'll see. I've only been using this for the last few days, and it is nice, but I think I'll still choose my A3 over. Just personal preference though. Highly recommend this disc. If you've liked some of those overstable approach discs from before from other companies, definitely give this one a try. It's got a little bit more deeper of a rim, a little bit more of a classic approach disc feeling than your usual A3s in the Prodigy lineup. FX-3, holy smokes, this disc is amazing. So far, the few days that I've gotten to use it, at first I was getting more of that, like, you know, flip to flat, subtle Annie to like hard left, but after I started getting used to it more, getting a lot of straight lines out of it. I can really power into this, throwing it on just the softest hyzer, and it flips up and just rides and just keeps going. One of the throws that I did on a live Instagram video today, I measured it with UDIS. I was 418 feet, give or take 18 feet as the fallback of whether or not that drone or the footage or whatever, the feetage, sure, words, if that's correct or not. So the satellite connection, yeah, sure, that thing. But which is pretty good for me at a 9-speed. I'm usually maxing out at about like 330, 350 on 9 speeds. So this disc is awesome. I'm excited for some long tunnel shots with this because I have a feeling I'm going to be able to get this down there pretty good. This FX-3 is going to be a staple for me. I'm excited to try this out on the sidearm more, see how that works for me, see what kind of lines I can shape with that. You can even keep this on an Anheuser the whole way. It held it really well. I think this is definitely one of those discs that's not exactly a point and shoot, but you throw it the way you're hoping to throw it, it's going to do what you want it to do. So check this one out for sure, unless I buy them all out of Tilley's first. So I promise I won't. But either way, money. It's P Model S. Holy smokes. Like powering down on it, it's definitely going to keep more of that hyzer line, or maybe flip up to flat, then go into the hyzer. Powering up on it, my goodness, so far it's just been a dead straight disc for me. Kind of similar to that FX-3, just much shorter. It'll do the same thing. It'll hold the Annie all the way through. It'll hold the hyzer all the way through if you're not absolutely maxing out on it. And it's going to hold a straight line too. Both the FX-3 and the P Model S, man, I'm telling you, these are good. I'm no pro arm. I'm a decent MA2 arm, and yeah, definitely happy with how I throw, but these discs are incredible for me. So highly recommend any of these. These are my two favorites out of this release. The Distortion, really great disc. Probably just going to keep my A3 though. I'm used to it. I love it. Reverb, holy smokes, this is actually going back too. We'll see how long it lasts, but so far I'm actually really enjoying it. There's a couple holes on Hickory that I'm loving it on. Excited to take it out to Bear's Den and maybe even Green Lake, see if I can get around some corners well. We'll see. I'm excited for all these guys. Go ahead and check out Prodigy Discs. They will have all these out on May 5th. We will also have them out at Tilley's Disc Golf and Party Store on May 5th as well. You're not going to want to miss out on these. We have limited quantity. They will go, I'm going to say, pretty decently soon. So yeah, check us out. We'll chat with you soon. Have a good evening, y'all.